after investing just above 5,000 hours into 17 different prohormone breakdown videos. I have been eating, breathing, and sleeping prohormones. Here are the top 3 hands down best bulking prohormones of 2024.
You are now in the presence of a king.
Despite modern day prohormones being sold under the names of steroids, back in 2014, they passed the Designer Anabolic Steroid Act, which all it did was say, hey, prohormone, you're not actually a prohormone. You're a full-blown steroid sold as a dietary supplement. In 2024, the picture has changed quite a bit. Prohormone products, there's just 5 prohormones, a mix of them. Sometimes it's 3, sometimes it's 4, sometimes it's just one of them. And they are 1-andro, 4-andro, 1,4-andro, androsterone, epiandro, and 19-nor. Some of them have long esters, which means they're in your body for a longer period of time, and some of them have short esters, which means they're quick to clear. But they're still not steroids. They're precursors, not precursors to steroids, but precursors to the chemical reaction that looks similar to the function of steroids. More specifically, modern day prohormones are simply just derivatives of DHEA, which just means we're going to get about 20% of the benefits when compared to the real gear. And it also means, on the other hand, which we love, that we're only going to have to deal with 20% of the side effects. And though the likes of people like Vigorous Steve just shit all over them, there's still going to be a place for them. And we're still messing with the chemistry of our body here, so it's very important that we understand what it actually is that we're putting into our body before we do. Because just like I mentioned, some of these prohormone products, they contain one prohormone, just a standalone. Others contain more than that. And the more we stack on top of one another, the more side effects we're going to be exposed to. And to make matters even more complicated, because these are precursors, well, there's going to be a lot more variability from person to person, so it's going to be harder for us to develop any kind of trends. But that's okay, because we're going to make things super simple for you today. In today's video, we're going to be covering the top 3 best bulking prohormone products, the perfect dosaging for the most gains with the least side effects, from the weakest to the strongest. Let's get it. In the number 3 slot, we've got Durable. And by the way, I did take a page out of Alex Hormozi's book with the nose strip thing. I broke my nose 2 years ago, and let me just tell you, I needed to think, I needed to breathe. Anyway, the Prohormone in Durable is going to be a 19-nor. It's 200 milligrams of it. And because it doesn't aromatize into estrogen, it's going to be considered dry. It has a half-life of about 3 days. And on paper, it looks like it would be a bulker. But I got to disagree here, because its 19-nor is very different than Trinabol's 19-nor. This 19-nor lubricates the joints by increasing the synovial fluid around the cartilage between the joints, giving you that feel where you can actually push harder and lift more as you eat more. It's going to be great for bulking, because you're not going to experience any of the bloat or water retention either. And at 1 tablet a day for an 8-week cycle, so you're going to need 2 bottles for an 8-week cycle. You can expect about 3 to 4 pounds of lean muscle gain, even used as a standalone. Now, we're not going to have to worry about estrogen going up here, so we're not going to have to worry about anything like aromastane or any AI for that matter. And we love this because it doesn't have a proprietary blend. And we don't have to worry about Decadic either. But if you do struggle with anxiety, I would stick with just 1 pill. And Hi Tech, if you happen to have stumbled across this video just randomly and you want a good product idea, much like you just did with Andriol, where you took a 4-andro and attached an undecanate ester to it, making it a longer ester, so longer acting, longer staying in the body. What if we did the same thing with a 19-nor? Right now we have a decanate ester. What if we attached an undecanate ester to it? I think that's a pretty good idea. And I've already got the perfect marketing strategy for you. You compare Nordiol with Andriol, and it's going to be the same effect as going to your HRT doctor and getting testosterone and Deca. Except not at all, because they're not near as effective, because they're precursors to not even the steroids, but to the things that look like steroids. Making our way up to number 2, Dianabol. I'm a big fan of Dianabol. And when we look at the product ingredient label, it doesn't tell us a whole lot, because it's a 300 milligram proprietary blend. Nothing screams modern day prohormones louder than a proprietary blend made by a big company trying to hide its ingredients to make bigger margins. God, there is something so attractive about old school prohormones. Just the idea of them when we compare them to today. It's too bad they caused a lot of liver damage. And we just had to relocate because the entire city of Houston just lost power, and we found a house with a generator. Thank you, Mom and Dad. But Dianabol really does deserve the second position, because while the epiandro is dry, has a half-life of 6 to 8 hours, and doesn't aromatize into estrogen, it's still not the show-stopping ingredient. It's the 1,4-andro we're looking at here. 1-andro of the 1,4-andro being dry, and 4-andro within the 1,4-andro aromatizing into estrogen, so it's wet. And I mentioned this in the Dianabol video, which I'll post above, and I want to clear something up, which I've cleared up before, but I want to clear it up one more time. The 1,4-andro, I said the 1-andro was more active than the 4-andro. Well, that's not right. Therefore, we are going to need aromastane, especially when we're taking 3 pills for an 8-week cycle. And the only reason Dianabol didn't make the number 1 spot was a side effect that at least was harsh for me. But let's go ahead and look at the number one benefit first, which is the 1,4-andro. It's going to make you hungry, which is awesome because most androgens prevent us from being hungry. They suppress our appetite. This is going to kick it right into gear, but only if you're able to handle the most rampant side effect. It's going to be stomach issues. My theory here is that with the 17 ingredients, some of them being filler-ish, it's going to take a toll on both your stomach and your digestive tract. But if you don't have these issues, or you can push right through it, and ectomorph specifically, so someone with skinny wrists or thin shoulders, this is really going to help you put on size. And we have finally made it, my bros, to the mecca of all bulking prohormones, the number one slot. But first,
Just a friendly reminder, if you need a discount code for your next Prohormone purchase, feel free to use the code TravisD at TotalNutritionHouston.com. You're going to get more than just 10% off. If you have any issues at all or any questions, the owner of Total Nutrition, Drew, will personally give you a call and get you all fixed up. And this is why we support local, my dudes. Links in the description.
the number one spot, hands down, goes to Superdraw. With 3 prohormones in one and some absolutely stellar supporting ingredients, Superdraw really is only meant for advanced users. And yeah, it does contain a proprietary blend, which we really do not like around here. It sits in the number one spot for a very particular reason. It stands alone in that it has 1-andro, that's dry, and has a half-life of 15 hours. 4-andro, which is wet, has a half-life of 9 days. It also has androstenolone acetate. Acetate being the quickest acting ester, and has a half-life of 30 minutes. And by the way, androstenolone acetate is simply just DHEA, or the father of all hormones. This is going to really help regulate our mood, especially when we're taking 3 prohormones at once and the ruckus it's going to put on our body. And by the way, the Superdraw 3 prohormones that we've covered so far, even the standalone, they're going to put on an immense amount of size and strength, especially if you're taking 2 pills a day over an 8-week cycle. But the supporting ingredients in here really do level it out. And this next ingredient I covered in the Methaquad video, so editor, show me androsterone, which is a metabolite of both testosterone and DHT. Now, 3-beta-hydroxy, we've seen that before. That's not what's in this, but remember that was epiandro. What's in androsterone is 3-alpha-hydroxy, which we haven't seen before. And this one's weaker androgenically. Its potency is about 1/7 that of testosterone. And if we were to categorize it, it's not wet and it's not dry. It's kind of its own thing. It's a weaker compound for sure, but it acts really fast. In fact, it has a half-life of about 20 minutes. It also contains 6-oxo, which is the precursor to pregnenolone, or the mother of all hormones, which is the hormone that regulates all hormones. So if we're taking Superdraw and our hormone ratios get kind of thrown off, the 6-oxo will come in there and help to normalize everything. Oh, and the half-life, it's going to be about 20 hours. And it doesn't stop there because there is one more key supporting ingredient. It's called Ajuca turkestanica, or turkesterone, which more or less is really just the icing or the sprinkles on the cake, because this really helps to level out inflammation that might be caused by taking 3 prohormones at once, aka Superdraw. And it's really important that we understand that the 4-andro in Superdraw compared to the 1,4-andro in Dianabol is going to be more estrogenic. It's going to convert or aromatize more to estrogen. Therefore, we will need a little bit more aromastane with Superdraw when compared to the 1,4-andro in Dianabol. Oh, and you are going to want to watch out for potential hair loss here, especially if male pattern baldness runs in your family. And you may still have some questions about the 3 bulking prohormones. And if you do, I've gone ahead and packaged them right here for you in the 3 individual breakdown prohormone videos we did in the past. My name is Travis Dillard, and I promise to keep keeping it real about this very strange world of anabolics. Next week's going to be no different. Until then, stay safe and stay swole, my brothers.